Hey, Clockverse. It is now 3:25 a.m. Eastern Seaboard. This is Clockwinder, Clockwork Jalopy. I've just gotten home from seeing The Avengers by Joss Whedon, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Um, it was everything I wanted it to be. Everything I wanted it to be. We had Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, and Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. All did a fantastic job. They were all given, all the characters had their moment in the sun. The movie actually surprised me with its ability to, even though we had these movies before, we still get a feel for the characters as the movies go on. It's like there isn't. You don't have to read a primer going into this. The movie does sort of build the characters for you, but without rehashing what has already gone on. Mark Ruffalo was the surprise to me. Hulk is not my favorite character in the comics. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner struck me as an odd choice. I always envision in my head Bruce Banner as being a sort of scrawny little geeky nerdy guy. Mark Ruffalo is not. He's not Clockwinder fat, but he is not a skinny fellow. But you know what? Hulk turned out to be one of my favorite characters. Hulk slash Bruce Banner turned out to be one of my favorite characters in this movie. I really loved the fact that they not only might and fight, but there's a good bit of screen time given to brain work. It doesn't override the action, but they do let you know that some of these guys are really smart, and it's just it was a great film. The last scene, the big final fight scene in New York, where the teams come together and they are the Avengers and they're fighting. They're fighting against the odds, and it was a payday. It was a payday. I've been waiting for it since I was 16 years old, and there it was. It was weird because I started thinking. I'd seen. I live in sci-fi superhero fantasy film land. And it just struck me as odd. It's the first time I ever was watching a sequence, and I was thinking, hey, this isn't panel by panel. This isn't in vivid comic book colors. You're actually not reading this in a comic. You're seeing this live action. How about that, Clockwinder? Look at that. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. It's the first time it ever struck me. And I just thought it was a great film. The one thing, a Clockwinder thing, again, Nick Fury. Little Clockwinder remembers my best friends, the Whites, up the street. Their dad had comics in the crawl space under their house. And we used to take flashlights and go in the crawl space under their house. And I remember reading, war comics. And some of the ones we read were like Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos and the Haunted Tank and all those. But I love Nick Fury. I used to buy Nick Fury comics up at the 7-Eleven on Red Mill Road for 25 cents. Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos. And this is all before I started reading superhero comics. When I was a wee cog. And so, Samuel L. Jackson, I always sit there and say, "You're not my Nick Fury." But he did a great job. He did a great job. It's just a Clockwinder thing. The movie hit all the marks, I think. It's funny that, God bless Stanley. But I always cringe when he comes on the screen because Stanley isn't a fantastic screen presence. He's not the Laurence Olivier of America, but but everything else I just thought was fantastic. It's funny, the one thing we always comment on is people standing around while these fights are happening, gawking, standing next to the window when the big fight's happening probably isn't a smart thing. Glass will break. But, besides that, it was just it was what I wanted to see. Get out there and see it. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 cogs, just because that elusive perfect film, that fifth cog, I don't give away easily. But a great film. I'm going to go see it again. I'm going to take the little clockinettes out there to see it, and it was what I wanted to see. I'm very happy right now. A warm clockwork feeling in my heart. This is Clockwinder of Clockwork Jalopy saying, "From hell's heart I stab at thee. Have a great day."